Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a closer look at one of my favorite semiconductor companies, Advanced Micro Devices, aka AMD. The company recently announced their new solutions for the data center market. They just released their 4th generation Genoa data center CPU. We can see today, and these past 2 days have been an amazing day for the market. Today, AMD is up 6.4%. In the past 5 days, the stock is up roughly 15.7%. I do want to say this kind of shows the strength of the long-term investing mindset, right? Because the overall market continues to be highly volatile. So unfortunately, if you try to time the market, you might have missed the past 5 days, actually the past 2 days, which pretty much most of this gain is coming from. So for me, again, this kind of just reinforces that mentality. Hey, Jose, long-term investing. Some days are going to look super bad. Some days are going to look super good. And just because things look good right now doesn't mean that's going to be the case for the upcoming weeks. So you have to maintain with that mentality of, hey, long-term investment. There are going to be days where things might look pretty bad. But at the end of the day, if you're investing in companies that you or I feel very kind of confident in, I understand that there's always risk. But still, at the end of the day, the probability of them giving me some great returns in the long term of things will be pretty high.
I do want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and make sure to check out fool.com/Jose to get the top 10 stocks to buy right now.
So enough of that rambling, let's take a closer look at AMD and what they released on November 10th of 2022. So they announced the general availability of their 4th generation AMD EPYC processor. Like I mentioned, this is expected to be their data center solution, and it is built on the Zen 4 core process. The data center, like we all know, represents the largest growth opportunity and the most strategic priority for AMD. If we take a closer look at this company's infographics for their Q3 2022 revenue, we can see data center is tied in first place for the #1 spot in revenue with $1.6 billion, up 45% year over year. So we can see this is definitely an important portion of this company's total revenue. If we take a closer look at their most recent financial analyst day, which I believe was this summer of 2022, they showed the enormous opportunity of the data center market, which is $125 billion, a little bit more than a third of their total addressable market. The data center market is split up in different kind of solutions from CPUs, GPUs, and the list goes on, but they do believe that the CPU market, which Genoa is a huge play in this data center total addressable market. So we are going to see some kind of recent articles that have come out with benchmarks of AMD's 4th generation Genoa CPU, but I do want to say this is going to be the first time in the past few years that AMD is actually going to have some strong competition in this space. And I'm not saying this to worry investors, but more just to kind of in mind that Intel is expected to release their 4th generation Sapphire Rapids on January 10th. Here we can see Intel announcing that on January 10th, they are going to have a data center launch event for their 4th generation with Sapphire Rapid processors. And this again is the 4th generation, AMD also hitting the 4th generation. But I want to say the 3rd generation, AMD kind of had full reign. Intel did have the Cooper Lake, which was their 3rd generation, but we can see Cooper Lake, which was their 3rd generation, launched in the middle of 2020. And if we take a closer look at all the kind of different solutions that Intel had in that 3rd generation, most of them came out in Q2 or Q3 of 2020. A few came out in Q2 of 2021. But for those that are not familiar, AMD, their 3rd generation EPYC, which was Milan, came out on March of 2021. So for 2021, AMD definitely had that higher kind of processing power. They definitely had the beating chip. So I want to say for the past generations and for the past 2 years, AMD hasn't really had too much competition in the space. This is one of the main reasons Intel has lost market share in the data center market, while AMD continues to kind of bulldozer and gain market share in this space. But we are seeing kind of the overall process growth of Intel, especially in their kind of consumer processor. I know we had Alder Lakes and recently Raptor Lakes in the CPU kind of consumer process, and those seem to be doing pretty well. So many are expecting that Intel's upcoming 4th generation data center market, Sapphire Rapids, is also going to be a nice competition for AMD. So I do want to say one great thing about AMD is they are kind of announcing the general public already. That was on November 10th, while Intel is only sending their chips at the moment to selected customers. But I do want to say most likely that general announcement will be happening January 10th of 2023, so about 2 months from now. That's still a nice amount of time for, I guess, AMD to grab a little bit more market share before true competition starts to heat up. Also, if you guys are enjoying the episode so far, make sure to hit the thumbs up, as it does help me grow my overall audience. If you want to support a little bit more, make sure to subscribe using my link at fool.com/Jose. Finally, you are most likely here because you enjoy the semiconductor market. And let me tell you this, I have the upcoming #1 semiconductor podcast in the world, and I just released episode 2. The link is above. Make sure to click it. Make sure to also find it on the pinned description. So if you take a closer look at some of the tech news and tech sites right now, we can see that AMD is definitely gapping Intel in form of performance when we take a closer look at previous generations. And that's something that we've already mentioned. Again, what's going to be super interesting is that upcoming competition. Here we can already see some benchmarks of AMD's 4th generation, and I do believe if you go here to Tech Power Up, you'll be able to see the complete benchmark. But overall, too long don't read. AMD leads the pack as it has more performance single and multi-threaded design compared to Intel. Again, this is still comparing to previous generations. Even this article makes sure that, hey, Sapphire Rapids is coming soon, so that will have to be a different case in different time. But here we can see presentations from AMD's event. One of the coolest things, I do want to say, they really take advantage of that Epic name. They kind of show the Epic savings you can get from using AMD. Here AMD is saying, hey, we are a stronger product and you actually need less of our products to do the same as Intel. Here they're saying that, hey, if you use 5 servers from our AMD 4th generation Epic chip solution, is actually the same as using 15 servers from Intel's process solutions. And again, 67% fewer servers, 54% less power. And again, it just kind of talks about lower emission. But at the end of the day, I do want to say some of these data centers, they obviously care about the environment. But one thing they are going to definitely see is, hey, 54% less power means a lot less money coming out of my pocket when kind of having these data center solutions ramping up. Outside of that, I do want to remind investors, and we've talked about it numerous times in this episode, that this 4th generation Epic is going to have numerous solutions. They're starting off with Genoa, which is going to be a general purpose, but they are going to come out with Bergamo and Siena, which are going to be kind of more generalization solutions. For example, Bergamo is going to be one for the cloud native, and Siena is going to be more for the telecommunication market. So AMD is definitely growing that space. They're going to increase that solution in the data center market. I do believe this is going to drive them to see strong revenue growth in the data center market, and it's going to be a great thing for investors. Here we can see some benchmarks made by AMD. Remember, take these with a grain of salt because they are first-party results. I do believe third-party benchmarks are usually a little bit better since they are not too biased. But we can see the 4th generation Epic is over 2 times faster than their 3rd generation, and in certain aspects they are even 3 times faster than the competition. Again, remember that competition is still 3rd generation. The 4th generation should be coming out in the next 2 months. I do believe that's when we're going to start to see the true competition nature of Intel and AMD. I'm a shareholder of AMD. I am super bullish with this data center market. I'm personally not too worried about Intel, just because I do believe AMD at the end of the day, they are going to continue to innovate. They are going to continue to push their engineers to develop better chips. And if that competition does come from Intel, it's just going to give another kind of fire for the kind of determination that AMD has. This data center market is big for multiple players, and I do believe AMD is going to continue to grow market share here, especially if their products continue to do as well as their 3rd generation. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.